Bianca Marroquin, R.Evolución Latina is so excited to finally have an interview with you.
I would live in Matamoros, but I would cross the bridge every morning to go to school in Brownsville. So thank God for that, because I learned both languages and grew up with both traditions and you know, in the middle of two worlds.
How did you get involved in musical theater, especially in Mexico?
I know.
It's not really part of our culture.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't the same when I started off. And actually, it wasn't really my goal. I wanted to be a flamenco dancer and go to Spain.
Right.
But my father said, no. You're going to go like your brothers to El Tecnológico Monterrey and study something, and then you can jump around. So there I was, and I decided to study communications. I was going to be a journalist. I said, well, if I can't dance, I'll be a journalist and write about those who can dance. But then when I was in fifth semester, Beauty and the Beast came to our country, to Mexico. They were looking to open the first Mexican production. Yeah. And I was in Monterrey, and I went and auditioned, and I got it. I got one of the 6 slots, you know, one of the 6 part of the ensemble girls. That was the first time I ever got to Mexico City. That was my first show, my introduction to musical theater.
Your dinner. B.
That's when other musicals started to come to Mexico.
Right. Now, Chicago was your big break there, but before that you did Rent, right?
Yes, Rent.
How was that?
And in Rent I was a swing.
Okay.
Right? And in Mexico none of us knew what the term swing meant.
Right. And you also covered one of the leads, right? You covered Mimi?
Mimi.
Yeah.
I covered Mimi. I only did her twice.
How was that? Was that like the first role, the first lead role that you went up for?
Yes.
And what was that experience like?
Very, it was a big challenge, because as a dancer, you know, always in the back dancing, all of a sudden I'm up front and with a microphone.
The responsibility
of
carrying a show, yeah.
Yes, and the first time that I had the first run-through understudy rehearsal, I remember the director telling me, stop walking like a dancer. Mimi is an exotic dancer, and she's into drugs, and she's, you totally do not look like the part. So that's the very first time when I started being conscious of, I need to be an actor. And that's what woke it up. My journey was different than everybody else. Like, I didn't go to a school that taught me everything.
Right.
Along the way, on the stages, at different stages, that's when
That
I
was your
started
school.
adding, on stage. The next show was Phantom of the Opera. And Phantom of the Opera, I was dance captain.
Another amazing responsibility and experience.
Oh my God. And I was only 23 years old at the time. I turned 24 during that contract. And it was very difficult to really maintain the neatness of all the choreography
and learning as you went along.
Learning as I went along, and also being able to give notes to all these people, opera singers, the ballet dancers from the Mexico Company, ballet company, of the country, and it was just a lot. I grew a lot of character for myself. And was able, after a whole year, to gain their respect, which was really difficult at that time. I was also a swing, and I was McGeary cover. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
No recognition. Always in the back, and that was okay. That was...
But your reward was seeing that the show was intact, that the show remained
because that's your responsibilities at the show is 100% every single night. And so that was my life. I thought that was my mission. That's what I was going to be.
And then something amazing happened. Did you ever have any idea that when Chicago, the musical, was going to audition in Mexico, that you would be chosen to play Roxy Hart?
Never. Actually, when the auditions are happening, I wanted to make sure I had a little spot in the ensemble. And I wanted to be dance captain of Chicago. So I kept going to all the
ensemble calls
plus the principal calls, so they keep seeing my face, and for sure I'll get my little spot in the ensemble. But never did I imagine that at the end of all of that I was going to walk away with Roxy. And my first response to the producer when he called me on the phone, and his way of telling me that I had gotten Roxy Hart, he started singing "The name, my name, and I said, Roxy? I kid you not. And the first thing I said, so you mean I don't have... The only responsibility that I have is just to learn one track? Just Roxy? Because after 31 tracks in
right,
Phantom
and
of the
having the
Opera,
responsibility to take charge of all
so
of them.
to me, alone, okay, just one track, and then everything that involves that it, you know, like press, being the head of a company, being a figure, you know, it was just everything blew up for me then in my country, and I was
all of a
so
sudden
excited.
Mexico knew who Bianca Marroquin was.
All of a sudden my work started to get recognized.
That jazz